Hey everyone, welcome back. Thanks for joining us. Today we got a brand new story to share with you. So let's begin. Emily and John have been married for over 8 years and live in a small house in Salem, Portland, Oregon, USA. John and Emily receive an invitation to a celebration party from Levon, a longtime close friend of theirs. Levon lives in a cozy little house in downtown Portland, Oregon. The party is an occasion for Levon to celebrate his success at work, and close friends are invited to join in the fun. Emily, feeling conflicted, knows that Michael, a colleague for whom she has special feelings, will also be at the party. She tries to stay calm. She tells herself, everything will be fine. John is blissfully unaware of the relationship that is quietly developing between Emily and Michael. He happily prepares for the evening, not noticing the tension in his wife's eyes. As the party approaches midnight, the atmosphere becomes more and more lively. Everyone has eaten and drunk their fill, and laughter echoes throughout the room. Levon, with his cheerful and outgoing personality, encourages all his friends to stand up and join in the dance. The music starts to get louder, and everyone slowly steps onto the dance floor, immersing themselves. As the party got going, the dance floor filled up. Emily grabbed John's hand and asked him to join her. But John was a bit shy and said he didn't like dancing in front of a crowd. He just smiled and told her to go out and dance with everyone. Emily was a bit disappointed, but she still went out onto the dance floor and enjoyed herself with her friends. John sat alone at the table, drinking his drink and watching his wife in the crowd. He didn't want to get involved directly, but he was still happy to see Emily enjoying herself. Then he noticed something unexpected. Emily was no longer dancing alone or with a group of girls. She was dancing with a man who had come up to the dance floor. He didn't know who he was, but he couldn't take his eyes off the way. They moved so close together. At first, John tried to convince himself that it was just a fun dance between friends. But the more he watched, the more he felt that something was wrong. They weren't just dancing together. They were exchanging glances. John could see the man leaning close to Emily's ear to talk, and she smiled brightly, seemingly not keeping any distance. The moment the man gently wrapped his arms around her waist. As they moved to the music, John's heart suddenly beat faster. He felt worried and insecure. John's heart started to beat faster with doubt and jealousy. He felt insecure as he watched Emily's seeming comfortable in the man's arms. He felt jealousy, anger, and pain rising every time he saw Emily. And the stranger decided to stop watching and went back to the table, trying to drink a few more glasses of wine to calm his heart. He tried to focus on the group of friends beside him, but his mind kept going back to the image of his wife with another man. John had a few glasses of wine, and his jealousy slowly disappeared as he felt the numbing effect of alcohol. He smiled at Riley's stories and tried to look calm, but inside he was anxious and couldn't relax. After a while, John turned back to the dance floor to find Emily. His heart was pounding as he looked around, trying to find his wife. But then he saw that she was gone. She was no longer on the dance floor, and the organist who had danced with her was nowhere to be seen. John felt a sudden surge of panic. He quickly stood up and began searching through the groups of people at the party, hoping that Emily had just left for a while. But the more he looked, the more he felt like the world was falling apart. Emily was gone. The uncertain, drunken moments had left to void, and now he was left with an inexplicable fear of loss. He went back to his seat, wondering where Emily had gone and whether she'd gone home. John stepped outside to get some fresh air and looked for Emily as he walked to the back of the house, where the party was less crowded. He suddenly saw her. She was slowly walking out of a hidden corner. John saw Emily's unusual expression from behind the house. She seemed embarrassed and didn't want to be seen, which made John's heart beat faster. He felt suspicion and anxiety rising within him. John stepped closer and realized that it was indeed Emily. His feeling of chaos in his heart grew even stronger. He looked straight into her eyes, his voice filled with suspicion and anxiety. He asked, "Where have you been? Why are you out here?" Emily was startled to see John. Her eyes flashed with confusion, but she tried to stay calm. She replied, "I just came out here to get some fresh air. The party was too loud." John looked at Emily more closely, and his suspicion grew. Her clothes were wet. Her feet and shoes were covered in sand, which made everything seem even more unusual. He frowned, his voice filled with doubt, but also concerned. He asked her what she had done to get her clothes all wet, and why they were covered in sand. Emily tried to come up with an explanation, but it was obvious that she was unprepared for these questions. She stammered, "Oh, I was just taking a walk near the lake, behind the house, and I slipped. And that's why my clothes are wet." I couldn't help but think that Emily's explanation wasn't very convincing. The leg behind the house, the wet sand, all those details made me even more suspicious. Everything that happened at the party, from her dancing with a strange man to this sudden disappearance, made me unable to stop asking questions. Why were you out there? What were you doing there? And with whom? Tell me you betrayed me, right? Emily was silent, not daring to look straight into Jay's eyes. Jay, and took a step forward, his eyes filled with pain and disappointment. "I need the truth, Emily. I can't continue to live in doubt and lies. If you're hiding something from me, tell me now." "It's nothing, John. I didn't do it. I didn't betray you." Emily tried to reassure John, but her eyes betrayed her. John looked straight into Emily's eyes. His heart was filled with pain and disappointment. John shook his head in disbelief. "Emily, I saw you go out. You were wet and covered in sand. Why would you go out there alone when you just danced with another man? You can't hide it from me." Emily looked down, unable to face John. Her silence only made things worse. It was clear that she had no more excuses and no way to hide the truth forever. "I can't go on like this, Emily. I can't trust you anymore." John said, his voice low and full of disappointment. Emily burst into tears. Her face streaked with them, and she choked out, "I'm sorry, John. I couldn't control myself. My emotions. I betrayed you. But please forgive me." John clenched his hands, trying to stay calm, but the pain and anger inside him was boiling over. "Emily, I did something you couldn't imagine. I broke your trust. I want you to forgive me, but how can I do that? I know I messed up, but I still love you. Please give me another chance. I'll do whatever it takes to make it right." Emily was still crying, clinging to the last bit of hope. But John knew that no apology could erase the pain he was suffering. His eyes were filled with. He looked at Emily with cold, determined eyes. "Emily, you betrayed me. Now you want me to forgive you? Do you think an apology can erase everything?" He paused, allumping his throat, but tried not to let his emotions cloud his judgment. "You've chosen your path, Emily. Whatever you want, I'm going to give you the chance. To do that, I won't hold you back any longer." John continued, his voice firm, but his eyes filled with sadness. "If you can do that to me, then there's nothing between us. I'm going to end it here." Emily sobbed. She was heartbroken by those words from the husband she once loved. "John, please. Please, Emily," she tried to say, but she couldn't find the words to convince him. John shook his head, his eyes cold and disappointed. He couldn't take it anymore. "Emily, go with him if that's what you want," John said, his voice slow but firm. He turned without waiting for an answer, and he walked straight to the car, feeling a mixture of pain and sadness. But knowing there was no turning back, he opened the door and started the engine, and the engine roared to life in the silence. Emily stood there, tears streaming down her face, unsure of what to do or say. She just lifted John, feeling a sense of helplessness, as all her efforts to hold on to him couldn't change anything. She realized that she had lost him forever. John didn't turn to look at Emily again. He stepped on the gas and drove away, leaving all the joy and love they had shared in the past. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories like this. See you next time.